Okay, now the trick to this is when you mix this medium up, you don't want to overmix it. You want to put enough paint in there to get the opacity that you need, but you don't want to put too much in to where it's running. You want it probably thicker than pudding, I would say. And don't be afraid to mix a lot up, because you're going to use quite a bit of it, because you want to build you want to build some millage. You want to see the brush stroke. You want it to look like there's a couple of layers of paint there. You just don't want it to go flat on you. That's the whole point of using this medium, to get it to raise, give that brush look. And then I'm going to show you how to add a little bit more distressing to it, as we get there. But the trick is, get you enough of this stuff mixed up, and like I said, this is an open palette, and for you artists out there, I'm sure you know what I mean, but for homeowners, basically an open palette is, you're mixing your color as you go, and you're not mixing a bunch up at a time. I prefer to work, I can work either way, it doesn't matter, but anyway, you got to think composition. You can see how thick I got that on there. I got this brush loaded. It's on there thick, and you just hit it. Just get it on. Don't think about any kind of design. Just kind of streak it on. You want to get it on, as quickly as you can. You do have time to work with it. But the whole idea is to, get enough of the medium on there so it don't dry out on you too fast, where it starts, dragging, another texture on there. Because once it starts to set up, it'll drag a rougher texture. And then it starts looking contrived. And the whole idea is you want the brush strokes, you want the rendering, the artist's look to it, rather than a regular, distressed kind of finish, And the whole idea that, my whole concept here is to make it look like an artist did it, and not a cabinet finisher, And I think it's going to be it's a really unique kind of look. People get up close to it and they'll say, wow, that was painted. That's not, that wasn't sprayed or anything. That was all hand done. And, and as you can see, I'm not, I'm thinking composition too. You don't want anything in the center. You want it off to the side. You got to think of how your corners, will distress more than others. And you put it on to where you leave some open areas, so you got some areas to work with. Because if you cover the whole thing, then then you're done. Because you're not going to be able to get that sand through look. So. This is how I'm doing. I'm just brushing it on, randomly, and then I'm mixing, my medium as I go. When you're mixing this stuff up, you'll see whether it's too clear or not. If it's too clear, you're going to be able to see right through it, which is okay too. But you want that opacity. You want it to look like there's more than one layer of paint there, and if you get the medium too thin, then the medium is transparent. You'll be able to see through it. And if it's an easy fix, if you do end up with that, it's just after it dries, you just hit it with some paint. As you can see, I'm not trying to get any direction. I am trying to fill the groove, because the inside of that groove is not going to wear. So it's a good idea compositionally to, try and, you know, get that. Another place where you don't see wear is inside corners. You know, I mean, you can leave one or two of them open if you want. It's totally up to you. But, you know, I mean, you want it to look natural. You know, you don't want it to look like it was planned, or anything like that, because that's, you know, that's how nature is. There is no plan, there is no perfect, there is no, you know, nature just does its thing. So if you get the right mindset of going with it, you know, just kind of, you know, just go with the flow. You know, I know a lot of artists out there that, you know, they try so hard to make something, you know, exact. You know, well, there is nothing exact in nature, nothing. You know, and if you just, you know, just kind of go, you know, with what you see, you know, you're going to be a lot better off. You know, don't spend a whole lot of time on it. You know, of course, you know, I did my panel first, and now I'm doing my edge, and I'm laying this stuff on. You know, I mean, it's not, you know, I'm not afraid of putting it on. You know, I mean, if you get some overlap underneath it, and, you know, you can always cut that off with a knife. You know, and that's the beauty of this finish. You know, so you can see how quick I got this on. You know, and I'm running out of medium, so I might have to pull up some more medium. But, you know, just think about, you know, where it's gonna, you know, where it's gonna wear out, you know, and I mean, really, I'm not even really thinking about where I'm putting it. I'm just putting it on, you know. Well, you know, I mean, I've done so much distressed cabinet work that, you know, I pretty much know where I'm going with it, you know, and I mean, it does take a little practice, and of course, you don't want to practice on an actual door unless you got a scrap one laying around, you know, and, you know, I'm running out of medium, you know, don't be afraid of it. I mean, the stuff's a little expensive, but think of the time you're saving on labor, you know, and that's the key here. That's why, you know, I tried to design this finish the way I did. And because when I was looking at the piece that we were trying to match, there's about a half a dozen other artists on Faux Form, you know, and I could not figure out what they used, because I knew it was a short finish. It wasn't nothing to where, you know, it looked like several layers, but it actually wasn't, you know. And then, I mean, there's several artists. I'll post their website and stuff on the blog when I get a chance. And you know, Faux Form is one of the top forums, artist forums, and there's, you know, I mean, I love that place. You know, I mean, artists like to help each other, and that's what it's about. We all learn and grow from each other. And there were several of them that were involved on trying to match this finish. And, you know, what we found out was, you know, probably what the product was probably an embossing powder, you know, which is heated, and, you know, I mean, it's a really unique finish. I mean, I love it, and I'm definitely going to want to try it. But anyway, I knew that finish was not done in several layers, you know, because it was too obvious, you know. So anyway, you can see, you know, how I got it on pretty quick. You know, now it's really open. You know, now is when, you know, I want to start, you know, filling it in, rendering it. You know, I'm going to make sure I get all the edges, you know, that I need to. The edges aren't really that important. You do want to see some wear, you know. You can see I just dab it on and I drag it out with a brush, and it's on there pretty thick, you know. And the beauty of this medium is it doesn't crack. You know, that's what really amazed me. And, you know, although you can put a crackle medium under it, and it will crack if you want a cracked look, but on this particular piece there was no cracking. So that just, you know, saved another step. But, you know, the edges and stuff, I mean, once I hit the edges, I really don't focus on them that much. And you know, and you know, I want the brush stroke to be there. I don't want it all going all different directions, so I just get it on it and I just lay it out with a brush. And if there's a few misses where the finish is showing through, that's fine, because that's what you want. You know, I mean, that's what you're going for. That's the whole purpose of not base painting and all that. I mean, this color was so close to the terracotta color that was on the actual piece that, you know, it's not sitting right next to it, and it's there to complement the. It's in the kitchen. This piece sits in the dining room, and you want to complement it. You don't want to make it look exactly like it. I mean, why? You know, I mean, then there's, you know, basically, you know, it's the, you know, it's just a copied finish. You know, this is more like a rendering, you know, of that finish, which is, you know, makes it unique. You know, this is what I see. You know, what I think will work. You know, and as you can see, I'm dragging more on there because I want to get that raised old paint, you know, several layer look. And as it starts to dry on you, it starts grabbing more, you know, which is the beauty of this. And, you know, so you can see it's really open. You know, so what I'm doing now is I'm just dragging, you know, a little bit more texture on here and there. You know, originally I thought of using Pierre Finkelstein has a book called Art of Faux, and he has a heavy paint formula that is really cool. You know, but it's made with drywall, you know, compound and stuff, and I think that would have been, you know, I don't think that would have worked, and I would have had bonding problems and that kind of thing. So when I came up with this, I definitely wanted to create something that would go on quick, be short, and yet bond, to where we don't have to use a bonding primer and you know, an agent and several layers, and yeah, I mean, it's you know, it's just incredible. Now this medium will stay soft, you know, but over time it will get hard, you know, and you know, that's just one of the drawbacks. You know, you do got the cure time, which is, you know, I mean, I can live with, you know, but you know, I mean, the cost effectiveness is just incredible, because you can cut your time in half. I mean, as you can see, this is only one layer, you know, and you can see the buildup that I'm getting with this. I mean, you know, it's remarkable, you know. So you know, I kind of want to drag that out there. That's a little bit too much distress and showing through there. See how the edges look like it's kind of chipped away, you know. And I want to see some color, you know, in the distress part. Okay, so you can see, you know, how I kind of evened it out a little bit more. Now the other thing I did that I found to create some depth, which was pretty amazing. You know, not really amazing. I guess I'm overexcited. You know, who knows? But anyway, it's an artist thing, I guess. But you know, this palette knife worked great for this. And this is actually made. I don't even know the name of it. Bob Ross. It's a Bob Ross palette knife, but it's got that, you know, kind of really cool shape to it. So what I've done is I've loaded up a little bit on there, and I've actually taken this and just lightly skimmed another flat layer over top of it. And what that does is it's giving it the illusion of another layer of paint on there. Now, I don't know if you can see that, but you know, I mean, it just gives it a real nice, you know, kind of distressed, more of a distressed look. You know, and it just gives it another layer, you know, looks like another layer on there, you know, and you can see how that, you know, flattens it out. I hope you can see it, and once you try it, you'll see it. I mean, you just got to get a door or a panel or something and try it, you know, and see. I mean, the medium, you know, the gel is expensive, but you can go online, don't buy it out of the art store, you know, get it online, because, you know, I had to buy it through the art store because, you know, I'm kind of in a bind, and I got to get this done. I didn't want to wait for shipping, so I went ahead and paid the price. But you can get a gallon of this stuff when it's on sale for like 60 bucks, you know. And I've got 20 doors that I'm doing here, and I haven't even used a quart. You know, I think it's about a quart is what I've got into it so far, but I still have to do the boxes, and, you know, I've probably used maybe, you know, half a quart on that. And, you know, and I'm thinking about, I don't know if I'll show that on the video or not. I mean, this is fine. I mean, you get the general idea. And most of you out there are creative enough that you know, you don't have to see the whole thing. And plus, that's a lot of editing, you know. You guys know my blog, you know, I do a lot of video, and I've got a lot of hours under the editing. And I'm fixing to outsource that stuff because I'm just getting too busy to deal with it. That's why I haven't done any video in quite some time. But anyway, you can see I'm pulling some more texture on there. If you get a little bit more on there, you get an area that you don't like, just simply hit it with a brush, man. You know, look at that. You know, it just creates another texture, man. This is, you know, it's unbelievable. You know, I mean, as many distressed finishes that I have done, you know, this has got to be one of the nice, you know, easier techniques, you know, that I've done. You know, see, I'm kind of carrying that edge over to make it look like it's connected. You know, and you just kind of go with it. I mean, it's looking pretty good. You know, it might be a little, you know, too much showing through. But the beauty of it is, if you got a little bit too much showing through, after it dries, you can close it up with more of the paint, you know, or more of the medium if you want. You know, the object is you can always add more, but you can't take away, because you try to sand through this, it ain't gonna happen. I mean, it can, but it's gonna look bad. You know, most of you know, you can't really use acrylics to do a sand through finish. You either got to use a milk paint or a lacquer. You know, I mean, even oils are hard to create a sand through finish. You know, probably milk paint's probably the best, you cations and things like that. But you know, you can see I got a big glop here. It looks more, it doesn't look natural. It doesn't look like a brush mark. So I'm gonna, you know, brush out the 45s like they should be, you know, to give it that, you know, like, you know, at least looks like at least a painter did it, and not, you know, a 5-year-old. But then I take this palette knife, and I just want to give it some more character to it. So I pick up a little bit more, you know, because my paint's really thin here, and it doesn't look like there's anything there. So rather than try and bury it with the brush, I'm going to hit it with some texture, like that. You know, and it gives it, you know, it gives it some character, and it doesn't bury it, you know, because I don't want to bury all the base. You know, I want to get it to a point where I can get it to dry, get ready for my top coat, and then I can make all the adjustments before my top coat. You know, and you know, it gives it a peeled, you know, a really distressed depth, you know, kind of appearance. You know, if you get too much on there, don't worry about it. You know, I mean, just take your brush and just kind of pull it out a little bit and leave the, you know, it leaves a nice brush mark. You know, the older the brush, the better. I mean, if you got a stiff bristle brush, imagine what that'll look like, you know. And you can probably even get some more brush, you know, if you use a stiff brush, an old brush, chip brush, to where the bristles are real stiff. You know, you can probably even create, you know, even a deeper brush look, you know. And you can do this more in one layer. I mean, you do one layer, one color, you come back, do another, you know, just don't lose your background, you know. see how you can, just by lightly going over it and putting that flat surface in there, you create another layer look. Yeah, I really don't have enough depth here, because I dry brush in, I don't have that brush mark, so I'm going to add more here. And all I'm doing is I'm just loading up and I'm just laying the brush flat and just dragging it. And as the medium starts to dry, it starts grabbing itself, and it creates even more depth. You just, gotta kind of go with, what you see. The hardest part is doing these recesses in here, without losing the distressing, totally. So you let it set up, you let it tack up a little bit, and then you come back and you hit it again, and it'll grab it, and it'll pull it right back up. And you can see, we're getting pretty close here. I'm starting to like what I see. I might need a little bit more in here. It looks kind of flat. You don't want it to look flat. You want to see that texture, that brush stroke, And I try to keep it tight in the corners, not all the way around, but if I got a lot of gold that bled through the tape, I don't want to see that on the board. I want to fill that in, so I'll come back in and add a little more and then pull it out. It's, your edges, when you go over your edges here, of course I did the back of the door first, and all I did, I just painted it black and waxed it, because, the designer, we're not concerned about the backs of them being distressed. If they want the backs of them distressed, then of course that's twice as much money, and you want to make it a quick finish, for what, you're being, paid for, but altogether, to tape out this door and do this part right here takes about 45 minutes to an hour, and you just got to time it that way, when you price it out or when you do it. And of course, the more distressing you add, the more time it's going to cost, and it really depends on the budget of the homeowner. And that's the thing these days. Homeowners want a budget. They want, they're using, the economy to basically get things done, for what they can. And that's understandable. Why not? We all do it. So I'm kind of, you can see that, I'm just, doing a little bit of more here and there, because I want to see some uniform flow of the texture. I want that, I want that artist look. I'm not looking for, a master cabinet maker's look. I want that artist look, and and people love that. When they see that artist rendering of a distressed finish, they're going to go, oh wow, I've never seen anything like that. And that's the whole idea behind it, is to get the uniqueness of it, and kind of like a signature kind of thing. But as you can see, I'm pretty close. I'm getting, I'm getting close to where I'm liking what I'm seeing here. I don't want to see any big raised chunks, sticking up, so, I'll either knock them down, with the palette knife, them a little bare in here, so I want to add a little bit in that spot, because the, where I didn't get enough on, I have to create depth, and of course, about opacity and depth, and the more opaque your colors are, the more they come forward, And if you got a translucent part of your mix showing through, then it's not going to look right. You know, so you just kind of work with it. You got time. You know, I mean, it isn't like a glaze. You know, I mean, a glaze dries, you know, some glazes dry a lot faster than what this does. You know, so you kind of want to carry that over, make like a big chunk, you know, of paint there, that kind of adhering to it. You know, and you just got to remember that in nature, you know, how nature does things. There's nothing the same size, nothing exactly the same. So if you see two areas that look like they're exactly the same size, you want to break those up. Otherwise it doesn't look natural. Nothing is in center, you know, just kind of like doing a painting, you know, or doing a mural, you know. You don't want everything to look, you know, like it was planned. You don't, you know, you want to make it look natural. You know, so there's a need to drag it. There's a little bit. It's got a little bit of bare spot in there. You know, I don't want to use the brush, so I'm going to continue to texture, you know, over that spot just a little bit. Kind of pull in a little bit more detail in there. I keep getting my fingers in here. But as you can see, I mean, that looks really cool. You know, it could use, you know, I may want to push some of that back, and you can do that after it dries, simply by just taking some black paint, you know, and filling in, you know, addressing, you know, to even out the finish, you know, and you know, like I said, once you can always add, but you can't take away. You know, because I'm telling you, I mean, once this stuff is on there, you know, there is no, I mean, you can sand through it, you know, I have, you know, but why, you know? And if you can get this kind of look, the first shot or close to it, you know, then, you know, it's a win-win situation, you know. Okay. Well, look, it's looking pretty good. You know, I may address it here and there. Now, being that I've got the wax finish on the back side already, you know, I want to make sure that I don't have, you know, anything hanging over, you know, so I'll kind of, you know, go back with my finger and I'll get my finger under it, under the edge, and I'll make sure it's clean, and I'll pull away from the cabinet, because I don't want to get any of the paint on the wax side of the finish, because the wax, you know, will flash on you. You know, it's going to be hard to touch up, you know, and once that wax dries, you're okay. I mean, it's real durable, you can clean it and all that stuff, but if you go try to touch it up like any acrylic clear coat, you know, it has a tendency to, you know, flash on you. You know, you can always see where you touched it up. You know, and then you have to recoat the whole thing to fix that, of course. You know, and we don't want to have to do things twice. You want to do it once, get it installed, and be done. And the owner's happy, you're happy, and you're on your way to the next job. You know, and that's the whole idea. All right, I'm liking that. I think it looks pretty good. You know, the other beauty of this is, if you catch your edge soon enough, you can take a damp rag. And I've already done a few doors. I don't do it to all of them, I just do it to a couple of them. And you can take that damp rag and you can wipe the edge, and that edge will look like it's sanded. You know, you just hit it with you know, a little bit of water on your rag. And I don't know if I can do it with this here or not. You know, yeah, see how that pulls that out? I don't know if you can see it, but it'll, you know, you can get that little distressed corner edge, you know, and the black will grab, once it starts setting up, it'll grab into the red, the stain color, and you get that nice wear, wear, look on the corners, like out there. I didn't even wet the rag for this one, and it seemed to work pretty well, but of course, you don't do it on every corner, mainly like there's a, a door pull right here, so maybe I want to, maybe kind of pull a little distress, look like someone's hand, wore because of somebody's hand, and kind of pull that through. You can do the corners if you want, but it's really up to you. You just got to think distressing, how things wear. I'm a little high on this spot right here, so I'm going to knock that down. People probably think I was really high when I come up with this. But anyway, those days are over with. But you can see, man, this is really nice. I like it. I'm happy with it. Maybe a little bit high over here. Well, sometimes you're not totally happy, but it is what it is. So, I want to add a little bit more dark in there because that corner won't wear. So I want to drag this back just a little bit, make it look more natural. Okay. Now the next step to this is what you got to do. Don't let that tape dry in there. Because you are going to have a problem. Because that tape is really buried, under this mix here. And I'm telling you, when this stuff gets hard, it's a bear. I've already tried doing some distressing. I got one door over there that I got to address, and I'd already tried sanding through. And you can get it to sand through, but it rolls up like any acrylic does. That's not really a good look. Now in between doors, all you have to do with your medium is get it into a pile, and then just take a piece of plastic, an old plastic bag or whatever, and just lay it on top of it, and that'll keep it from drying out. And in between each door that you do, you want to scrape off the excess of your brush with your palette knife, get it in a pile, and then clean your brush in some water, every time, because what happens is it starts drying out on you, up around the heel here, and you start getting these little chunks, in your door, and it gives it a, you don't want that real spiky kind of feel to it. You want it as smooth as you can, and so I clean the brush after every door. So all I do is I just dump it in water, and then go on to my, keep it in water, and I do that every time. Make sure you keep your medium, sealed up, otherwise it'll dry out on you. And then what you want to do is you want to pull that tape, and what I was explaining earlier, the gold is, if you sand your door, if you sand it really well, the Ronin product will bond really good, and you won't have a problem. But if you hit and miss it, and you tape over that gold, when you pull that tape, it's going to pull some of that gold off, but it's not going to pull it all off. And it's going to give it, it's going to give it a distressed look, So, this one here, I hope it does it on this one. It's something I just discovered, but see as I pull that tape, I don't know if you can see it. It is actually pulling some of that gold off. So you're getting two effects just by one step. Falls into your stuff, don't worry about it. Let it do its thing. It looks natural, looks like a scratch. Don't try to grab a brush and straighten it out. Leave it. It looks natural. It looks like it was meant to be, or, not meant to be, but it looks like it was part of the distressing. You can distress the edges, by sanding and hitting with a chain or whatever. You can also do it that way if you want, but it really depends on how much time you have to spend on it. It looks like, I got some of the gold to come off. And the other thing is that I found about this is you can take Van Dyke Brown and push that gold back, and you don't have to worry about getting the Van Dyke Brown on the black, because you won't see it. So you can just hit it with a little bit of Van Dyke Brown to push the gold back. I mean, based on what I have on the credenza and stuff, I kind of like this brightness, because they do have a little bit of a contemporary look in there, and that gold just really makes it stand out a little bit better, and so there you have it, and then, I got a little black on there, it'll wipe off. If not, oh well, that's the way it is, and you can see the gold, some of the gold pulled off here, and that's just one coat of gold, I mean, you don't need to make it opaque, because you want some of that red, of the wood grain to come through, because that's, the base of the distressed finish. So there you have it, a distressed panel in one layer. So let it dry, and then tomorrow I'll show you my little trick of the wax. I use an acrylic wax. It's also made by Faux Effects. I'm an avid Faux Effects user. I love their products. I don't represent them or anything of that nature. I don't get paid for talking about their products, but I love the how their products are, and I've always been a golden fan. I mean, I use golden heavy bodied acrylics for my canvases, and I love the proceeds, for certain things, and I use several different mediums. I just don't stick with just one, but the two main ones I like are made by Faux Effects and golden, and I just don't use anything else, well, my artist oils, I use, a different line there, but that's a whole different video. But there you have it, So tomorrow, we'll look at the clear coat, and I'll show you how I mix that up and how I get that on and get on a nice even finish with one coat. You don't have to put two on, and then the door's done. It's ready for install. So enjoy. I hope you really benefit from this, and like I said, it's just one of my ways of trying to give back a little bit,